Hi, we're here at Optimum's 17th Annual Investor Conference, where we've just had the final panel of the day, where our panellists were examining that now hardy perennial, will next year be better? What's 2026 going to look like as we move towards London Life Science Week in November and then JPM in January? We're taking the temperature and looking into the crystal ball to see what's going to happen next. So let's hear from our panellists.
So fearful and cheerful. Cheerful about the markets. There has been a real shift in sentiment just over the last two and a half weeks in terms of investor engagement and capital to deploy. That's driven a lot by the mergers and acquisitions that have been announced. I'd say fearful. Despite that fragility, it seems like we're in a much better spot than we were in the first 6 months of the year.
I think perhaps I'd add to that in terms of, I think the opportunity set that we see. I think we've been sitting in a period of time where, as a healthcare investor, we've had such a period of underperformance in the public markets that we're hitting that point where valuation support is becoming real, and yet we're looking to all the innovation, the great drugs, the opportunity set that's there. That I find pretty encouraging. Yes, I think we've got to navigate that regulatory environment, and yet that said, we are seeing blueprints forward, right? We're seeing new drugs come to market. We're seeing, drugs being priced and being sold, and indeed some of those new medicines that are really taking off and exceeding. So we're seeing those beat and raise projections across a number of companies that mean we can get enthusiastic.
Olivia, so what's going to be hot in 2026?
So we just had a really good panel discussion on this, and I think some of the areas that came out, which I am also particularly excited about, are things like radiopharmaceuticals. So here I think it's not next generation, it's third generation radiopharmaceuticals that we've come onto. So new isotopes, new supply chains, new targets that we can start to look at. And another personal favorite of mine is neurology. So drugs for, as Ruth talked about extensively, new drugs for neurodegenerative conditions, and particularly things like ALS. Yeah. What about you, Toby?
Well, so we had a fantastic talk from Ruth McKernan, which is quite inspirational. I'd wholeheartedly agree about neuroscience. We are big fans of neuroscience and neurology. And I think what you're seeing now is a way in which you can target, you can understand the effect that your drug is having much earlier in clinical trials than you used to be able to. So you can actually see the pharmacodynamic effect of the drugs earlier in clinical trials, which is massively de-risking. Plus, we've seen some extraordinary data recently from the likes of uniQure on Huntington's, so rare disease. And I think actually, aside from neurology and neuroscience, rare disease remains very interesting. And we had an interesting panel around that. One of the themes coming out is a really strong support for rare diseases. So we expect rare diseases and rare disease opportunities to dominate in 2026.
So we believe there's a significant opportunity for Chinese biotech globally. And if there's been a paradigm shift in the last several years where they can do it cheaper, faster, and with similar quality compared to historical results. So a lot of technology, and China's virtually caught up to the US in terms of innovation and out-licensing of products around the world. So things have changed. Things have changed, I think, for the better. And there's a natural tendency to be fearful, but in this case, we think the better part is to be optimistic.